buenas and ahoy. Welcome back to AmeriKnížky, a series of beloved American books by beloved American authors about topics relevant to American culture. Today, for Women's History Month, we are discussing a series of books by women about women. So this video, we are talking about Hidden Figures by Margot Shetterly. A little bit of a fun fact, those of you who speak Czech probably know this by its Czech title, skrytá čísla. The word figure in American English means number, yes. However, it also can be used to mean postava. So the title in English is actually a play on words. You'll see why, because the women are postavy in this story that didn't get to come to the front of the stage, as we may say. However, they also worked with numbers, figures, to get people into space. So, the title of this book is quite interesting, I think anyway. The book is by Margot Shetterly, who is an American nonfiction writer. She started her career in investment banking and media startups. And with this book, she achieved the author's dream. It's her first book. It went straight to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. And then she sold the film rights for the book and was able to stay on as a screenwriter and as a producer for the project. So she achieved greatness with this book. It was adapted as a film by the same name as you know, released in 2016, and not only that, the film was nominated for 3 Oscars awards. Hidden Figures tells the story of 3 African American women who worked as computers to solve problems for engineers and others at NASA. At this time, in the 1960s and 70s, before computers as we know them were developed, the name computer was the job of a woman or a man who was doing the mathematical work of engineers. So literally, it's about 3 human computers. For the first years of their careers, the workplace was segregated, meaning black people and white people had to stay separate, and women were kept in the background. They were not celebrated for their work as being human computers. The author, Margot Shetterly's father, was actually a research scientist in NASA at this time and worked with many of the characters in this book. The book explains how these 3 women overcame discrimination and racial segregation to become 3 great achievers in mathematics, scientific, and engineering history. Katherine Johnson, the main character, calculated rocket trajectories for the Mercury and Apollo missions. She successfully took matters into her own hands by being assertive with her supervisor, and when her mathematical abilities were recognized, Katherine Johnson was finally allowed into what had previously been all-male meetings at NASA. And now I'd like to share some quotes from the book. Sometimes she knew the most important battles for dignity, pride, and progress were fought with the simplest of actions. Their path to advancement might look less like a straight line and more like some of the pressure distributions and orbits they plotted, but they were determined to take a seat at the table. Or maybe it was her father's pragmatic dictum, "You are no better than anybody else, and no one is better than you," that disposed her to see the hardships of her life as a fate shared by everyone, her good fortunes as an unearned blessing. As far as segregationists were concerned, racial integration and communism were one and the same, and posed the same kind of threat to traditional American values. Yet those charged with mounting the American offense in space saw strength in countering the Russian values of secrecy with its opposites: transparency, democracy, equality, and not a simulacrum. The scientists wore their professional clothes like armor. They wielded their work like weapons, warding off the presumption of inferiority because they were Negro or female. If you are interested in learning more about women in science, women in history, or the history of the space race from a completely different perspective, this is a book that I think you will really enjoy. Keep reading, my friends. Nerds conquer the world.